Hello, conscious breathers, infinite beings alike. Ooh, she sounds feisty. Hello there. Let's wait for some people to populate. Infinite risings from Miami. Hello, hello. So today's topic is food freedom and breatharianism. How they connect to each other and how they're a little bit different in a sense, but when you reach food freedom, it's easier to do any type of fast in general. I'll wait for more people to hop in here. But how is everyone doing? How's your day going? If you have any questions you want to pop on here, let me know in the question box over there, or just type it in the comment. I read the comments from time to time. All right, I think we're good now. So, main topic is food freedom and breatharianism. So, what is food freedom? And people are still populating. So, food freedom. I'm waiting for this plane to hop over. So, I want to make one thing preferably clear. More people are popping in. All right, now we're more quiet here. All right, so I want to make one thing clear. You cannot fast your way towards breatharianism or even food freedom in general. So food freedom is a state of being to be unattached by food. Like you get to the point where you don't care what you're having for the day or whatever, in that sense. In the sense of you're not too attached of like, oh, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. Like your mind is completely detached and not attached to the wanting or the not necessarily the needing, but more so the wanting. Detach more from the wanting of that particular substance of food. That is food freedom. It's actually different from breatharianism, where you don't really need or most likely need in the sense of food, in that sense. All right. So, like I said before, one cannot fast their way towards food freedom, because when you do that, or you attempt to do that, how does one truly become free? When one makes peace with the shackles or the slavery of that embodiment that encouraged that point of being. That is what I mean by freedom, or in the sense of food freedom, where you're not demonizing any food at that point. Because if you're still at the point of demonizing foods at that point, that's not food freedom whatsoever. And the less demonization, the better. Because at the end of the day, deep within your subconscious, if you're someone that, let's say you're someone that literally went from eating meat to eating, going vegan or plant-based, whatever the case may be, and you're still in the sense of demonizing that, in hindsight, deep within your subconscious, you ate that same exact food that you're demonizing, okay? Don't you think deep within your subconscious, it's in a sense, it's like, man, I'm demonizing myself in a sense, because there was an attachment to that exact same food that you are demonizing. And this is food freedom. That's the truth. And this is how I know if someone truly is in deep within fasting, or someone helps people fast in a sense, And if they're in the sense demonizing, you really don't. I wouldn't really want to be coached by that person in a sense, because at the same time you're feeding the state of anger. And that's what I notice with social media on here, and some of my friends also notice with bigger accounts will say that people more so share the information of conspiracies and things like that more than the actual helpful things in that sense. So it's a really interesting dynamic, but it goes to show you how many people are attached to just the energetics of demonizing. That in itself is a low vibrational energy in itself. I don't want to say low vibration, but a dense, there it is, dense vibrational energy. Very, very dense. Gratitude, this has been on my thoughts. Exactly. Hey, no matter if you're demonizing, saying this is bad, that's bad, blah, 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 at the end of the day, you're still perpetuating fear, and you're perpetuating anger at the same exact time. That's not healthy whatsoever. So we need to learn how to harmonize with the food we intake so we can, quote unquote, become food free. Where you're praying to your food, or you're saying positive affirmations to your food, or every time you eat, you're playing harmonious music while you eat. I swear to God, I challenge every single one of you to play at least one of the subliminal breathwork music while you're eating within 30 days, nonstop. Do this in 30 days and see how you feel. And tag me and give a testimonial about that whole experience, because that in itself will easily help with cravings. By far. By day, at least in 2 weeks, depending on how severe your food addictions are, that alone will help you break the mold of food addiction. You're going to get into such a different state of awareness when you're about to sip something, when you're about to eat something. This is the subtleties of life that many people just look over their head, and they're so focused on the fasting or this fad diet or that diet, this diet, that diet. The number one diet you should really start on is your mental, your breath, and your relationships with your environment. Start on working on the intakes of those connections that you have. And it's going to be 10 times easier shifting on any diet. This is why I mainly preach breath rather than veganism, any other diet or whatever. I mainly preach breath because I personally seen people that didn't even tell me when I was working with them that, oh, I've been on McDonald's, like the sad diet, all this. And then within 2 weeks time, like, oh, hey, I'm eating more fruits. I don't go to McDonald's anymore. I just wanted to let you know that. I'm like, what? I'm like, it's really funny because it really strikes me, because you would think people that are aware of breath awareness and things like that are more inclined coming from, I guess, a plant-based or just a workout field, in terms of their background, coming over to my world in that sense. So, getting clients like those really just, it puts you in a humble seat too. And it really gives you more compassion for people in general, because, man, like, food is addicting. Food is really addicting. And I'm blessed in my regard of just sticking on the liquid path for this long. And I'm not really attached. I'm not even attached to that whole idea. I'm just, hey, I feel the best I've ever been on liquids. And just the breath awareness got me to that point where I don't even drink as much as you think of a day. All right, let's see here. Trying to give up these vegan junk food. or trying to eliminate food in general. I'm not sure what you mean there. Exactly. What's your quantum diet, though? Exactly. What minerals, herbs you encourage intake while fasting or trying? So I did a update to my website. Go on biohacking, and there you have a link to someone who's worked with Dr. Sebi himself, personally a friend of mine that I've had past clients from his camp as well. I haven't told him this, but I've had past clients from his camp that I've taught breathwork to, and nothing but great news. And the source that he gets his herbs from, even his sea moss. I'm not a fan of sea moss myself, but if you're into that, there's a great link in my bio. He's worked with Dr. Sebi. It's under biohacking and it's under personal care. You just click the link and it brings you straight to his site. And there you can get beautiful herbs. And if you want to do even a coaching call, there you go. That's one. When was the last time you pooped? Kind of weird question. Interesting. No, that's a great question. It's funny because the documentary, they asked me about that. So if I have soup, and it doesn't even have to be cooked, it can be a raw soup. I prefer raw soup, if anything. If I have soup, yeah, I go poop. If I don't poop. And I don't miss pooping. No offense. I don't miss it. Reducing your negative feedback loop is the task. Exactly. So, listen, you know when they say, let thy food be thy medicine, right? If you look at medicine and you look at the root word, what does it almost sound like? You have the root word medai, and what is also medai also resides in meditation. Connect the dots. What are you doing every day in terms of your intake? Food, in terms of the mouth at least. But sound is also on a daily basis as well. That's even a deeper insight to that, but it's a beautiful insight. And when you learn to build up, I have a saying, what you do frequently becomes your frequency. So, eating food itself is a meditation. All right? We once lived in an era where when we commune, it would be ceremonial. Before the whole shift in what we live in now, even before Tartarian, even perception of Tartarian, even before those days, everything was a ceremony. Everything was done with intense intention, and that's what it's all about. Because you're eating your intention when you put it and you bless the food. That's really what's happening. Hopefully most of your food has water, so that's what makes it even more healing in that sense. You're literally eating your affirmations at that point in time, and that's what it's all about. Yes, how you do anything is how you do everything. Does anyone want to hop on? What was the last food you ate? I don't even remember. The last food I ate. Oh, it was actually a banana. It was bananas. It was a bunch of fruit, to be honest. It was a bunch of fruit. And even at that point, I remember that day. That was the day I was like, this is it. That's it. Yeah. It was bananas and some random fruit, like, what was in there? Bananas. It was like a fruit bowl. I had some nuts in there, some walnuts. Yeah, it was like a random fruit bowl. But that was a good question. Wow. Does anybody want to go on live? How long since it's been 4 years if you're just following my page. It's been 4 long years. Third eye. Whoa, what's happening? There we go.
Blessings, grand rise.
Blessings, Infinite Horizon. Let me turn off the Bluetooth. I don't know why the car. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that might. There we go. There we go. Okay, cool. Blessings. Seriously, man, you've been saying so many things on here that like obviously speak to my soul if you've seen my comments, because like just starting with the negative feedback loop, I think is like the most important thing when it comes to fasting or food freedom, whatever way you want to, have that relationship with, not eating. There's just so many opinions out there, and I really loved how you're talking about how there's certain people who are sharing information in kind of a negative feedback loop towards, this belief of, letting go of things that I also agree are like bad for all of us, but like the way the information is being shared is in that negative feedback loop. So I'm like, it's like making people more resistant. I feel like
Oh, 1 second.
no worries. And I just think that
My
that's like
stuff.
that discussion is super important when it comes to this, because it's like the way you are thinking about what you're doing. If you're like thinking you have to do it, and I've experienced this personally in my healing journey, it's like you're not going to stay on that track, and I've seen a lot of fingers pointed in so many different communities when it comes to like someone's ideas and like trying to push them on everyone instead of letting something be what it is. And if something's truth, we can all kind of just like gently experience this together and come in with our own truths from our lived experience instead of like these judgments, and like negative loops that are kind of based in our own experience as well. That's why we're like pushing it out, in my opinion. So
That is the definition of holistic with a W, healing.
yeah.
With the mental versus demonizing one set of food, this set of food. It's all residing into a one intake for the body in the sense of the thought process and the actual food.
Right.
But again, it all starts with a thought process, right? And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people overlook that and the breathing pattern that goes along with that as well.
Exactly. And like from my understanding of magnetism too, like isn't that like just bringing that back into your experience like too? And so it's like it's really interesting to see people in that, because I can relate, and it's like helping me in my journey like right now of evolution, because I'm like, oh, just like let go of that, like, and just like really hone in on your experience, even if it's just like stopping yourself and breathing. Literally, like that's what this whole thing is like when you start letting go of those other things, whether it's even if it's just judgments or food, like it's just breath, like okay, what are you doing right now? What is your present reality? Is it what that person's eating and how they're judging you for, you know, how you've healed through urine and you're experiencing that, and like, or why can't you just like come through with this blissful thing? Like, I finally found this, that's why I love you so much, is like, you're just in such this like easeful, blissful attitude that's like, I want that, for myself. I want to resonate with that. I don't want to resonate with shame.
Exactly. Exactly. When I see people or people come to me in their experiences, I even want to ask you maybe you
Mm-hmm.
experienced this. I personally experienced this when I first got on this journey, in the sense of being in that shaming other diets and stuff like that. I found myself actually binge eating the most
Yes,
with
exactly. That's
that mind state.
or like, yeah, that binging, like I don't even know, like just like having those cravings pop up and being like having this like deep shame, and then eating it, and then having a deeper shame after that, and then just like,
You're bringing that energy into
yeah,
your food, people.
yep,
Hello.
exactly. And I'm like,
Stop shaming,
it's
regardless.
and it's crazy like how your relationships with people just change completely the moment you kind of like you like see yourself in that. You're like, that is me. Like, oh, this is so sad. Like, you have to really sit with the grief of like the knowledge that we haven't had, and how like everyone's just doing their best. It's not personal, and it's not like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's so easy to not, when you see things outside of you and all these systems and all these programs, that you're like, you're gonna like feel like the other, and like that's not comfortable. It's not comfortable setting the new tone, and it's like you have to really sit in that, and like hold the grief, that you're at the dinner party a couple hours later or early, you know you're just
Mhm.
waiting for everyone to show up, and like that's chilling, and it's not like, but like let go of the like knowledge of that. That's just what you're experiencing, and like what they're experiencing over there is like part of their journey. And it's like really just letting go of the knowledge of what you're actually experiencing too, so you can like keep experiencing that and knowing that you are doing it. You know what I mean? It's just like, if it's the truth, it's like you're gonna see it more. And I've lived that like through this experience, because like the dissonance with urine was so hard for me, and it still kind of is. You know, and just like thinking about how I don't really know that many people in my lived experience who are doing this. Like, there's a lot of people interested, and there's a lot of people who are so fascinated with how I do it, but it's like sometimes I'll stop for like a week or two right now and where I'm at in my journey, because I'll just like, there's no one around me in my physical reality. And like I've been sitting with that a lot lately, and I'm like, okay, like why do I need to have this like reflected outside of me? Like, and it's just that hard thing of like, when you haven't seen something, it's hard to believe it, but that's faith. And that's like when you're like, you know, like ridding yourself of all these other ideas, you actually know what that truth is for you, because you're living it. I don't know, I could rant about this all
I love that.
day because it's
Nah,
I'm
nah.
like
Hey,
fully
you're
experiencing, but
you're speaking your truth. That's all that matters.
it's cool too, because I feel like the less I let go of like trying to tell people stuff like about anything, I'm starting to see people around me literally like bring it up to me and doing it on their own, and like that's
That's the
so much more.
power of embodiment. Yes.
Mhm.
It really is. When I was living with roommates a while back, they saw me juicing a lot. They saw me doing everything a lot, and
Mhm.
sooner or later, be like, everyone's juicing in the house. I'm like, okay. I didn't have to force any. I didn't
Right.
force anything on anybody. I didn't say, hey, your diet's bad. What you're eating is bad. All this. They just saw how I was living, and hey, it inspired them. And that's the power of embodiment. It is real, and it slaps me
Yep.
in the face all the time in terms of embodiment.
Yeah.
Like when we did the brain scanner with my breath, and then we tried other people's breath, but it didn't do the same thing with
Exactly.
increasing theta. And I'm like, damn, okay, I totally get embodiment. I definitely get it.
Exactly. Well, I was thinking about this in the terms of language too, because like I recently posted on my Instagram like the categorization of language ruins the feelings of things. And I feel like that's kind of what we're talking about, is like when we start thinking about all these like judgments and stuff, we're like labeling our experience, other people's experiences, but it's like just drop all of that and like let things be what it is. And it's like you can just see that everyone's just in a different point of transition and like being, and like just honor that, because like if you've really been present through your whole experience and you're present now, you can just have gratitude and just like relate to that instead of judging it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I think language kind of ruins stuff sometimes, because it's like we're trying to like understand something, like, you know what I mean, like that's a tree, and then that's what we see, you know what I mean? And it's like we see someone eating a certain way, and like we're gonna like see them that way, but we don't know what other things they're doing. And it's like we all have tools to learn from each other, and like maybe that person's gone into crazy rooms of meditation that they could offer to you, and if you just dropped the judgment of how they're eating, y'all have gifts for each other. Like, we're all dots of the same experience, so like I think it's gonna come, like the expansion's gonna come from that more so than our honoring each other's lived experiences and hearing them instead of judging them and thinking you already know it because you see something that's familiar, you know.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that note, I have to jet out of here. We
Yeah, yeah.
finally got the tea rings. What's it called? The tea bag thing?
Right.
Tea filter. Finally, I'm gonna have tea. I haven't had tea in so long.
Oh
So
my gosh. Well, I'm so happy for you to enjoy it.
yeah. All right, sister. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, and you're always welcome to hop on here. All
No,
right.
thank you. It's a blessing to be behind. Thank you for having me. It's just an honor to share energy with you. Seriously. Like,
Uh,
thank you for like just expressing everything you do. Have a beautiful day.